Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another PossibilityStorm.com puzzle, and we got a sweet one this week. We got a little rare puzzle for you, but a couple of cool twists that you don't see in most of the PossibilityStorm.com puzzles. So, like usual, gonna start off by quickly going over some rules, briefly talking about the puzzle, then I'll give you a chance to pause the video, see if you can come up with the solution to this week's PossibilityStorm.com puzzle, and then I'll jump back in after the break and give you my answer to the puzzle. So anyway, let's talk about the one big rule first. Like with every PossibilityStorm.com puzzle, you gotta win this turn. There's no, well, we'll attack like this, hope our opponent whiffs on their draw step, hope we draw this. No. We gotta win this turn. If our opponent untaps, they kill us. We can only use cards that you can see in the puzzle, basically. Our library is not really relevant. However, this puzzle does have a twist. Since we have a Scarab God, our graveyard is relevant. So we have 3 creatures that we can potentially get back with the Scarab God's reanimation / eternalize ability. Demon of Dark Schemes, Dreamcaller Siren, Admiral Bucket Brass. So as you're working through this puzzle, keep in mind that in theory, we can access those cards in our graveyard with the help of Scarab God. The other twist of this puzzle is while our opponent is only at 12 life, they also have a Gideon of the Trials with 4 counters and a Gideon emblem. So just getting our opponent to 0 doesn't actually win us the game this turn if our opponent still has the Gideon of the Trials on the battlefield. So keep that in mind as you're working through your solution. Got to get our opponent's life to 0 and figure out an answer to the Gideon of Trials if we're going to be able to win the game this turn. So I think that's all you need to know for this one. Take a minute, pause the video, see if you can figure out a way to win this week's PossibilityStorm.com puzzle this very turn, and I will be right back to give you the answer. So how did it go? Did you come up with an answer to this week's PossibilityStorm.com puzzle? Let's jump into it and see what we come up with. So first off, as I mentioned in the intro, opponent's at 12. So we got to get rid of the 12 life. They also have the Gideon of the Trials with 4 loyalty. So at first glance, that makes you think, well, we got to deal 16 damage. 12 to our opponent, 4 to the Gideon. So that's kind of like the easiest, most common way to get rid of the Gideon. Just kill it somehow. On our opponent's side of the battlefield, they have 4 creatures. 2 1/1 lifelinking vampire tokens, a Sky March Bloodletter, which is just a 2/2 flyer, and then Bishop of Rebirth is a 3/4. Its ability only triggers when it attacks, so they don't really have anything tricky going on. They're just blockers. They're all stuff that triggers at times that aren't important to our puzzle. On our side of the battlefield, we talked about the graveyard. We have 3 potential Scarab God targets in Demon of Dark Schemes, which can sweep away some creatures, including, unfortunately, our Terror at the Fairgrounds. While reanimating Demon of Dark Schemes would get rid of 3 of our opponent's blockers, we're also losing 1 of our blockers, and we're making our other creatures smaller, so they're dealing less damage. Dreamcaller Siren is interesting because it can tap down 2 potential blockers, so that's a way we could get through more damage, potentially, because we do have a pirate in our Lightning Rig crew. And then Admiral Bucket Brass gives us a way to pump our pirates. At the moment, we only have a single pirate on the battlefield. Our battlefield is really crazy. We have 1 pirate in Lightning Rig crew, which can do some tapping and untapping for direct damage. Also can redirect to Gideon, so maybe there's a way we can ping the Gideon to death with our Lightning Rig crew. Sanctum Seeker wants a bunch of vampires. It triggers to drain our opponent, kind of like Hell Rider, when we attack with a vampire. Unfortunately, it's the only vampire on the battlefield at the moment. Scarab God, just the best card in Standard, can reanimate our graveyard stuff, also a 5/5. And then for some reason, a Terror at the Fairgrounds, a little gremlin in the mix. We also have 10 mana, including 2 Ifnir Dreadlands, which could kill some of our opponent's creatures if we really want to spend all of our mana to kill things very slowly. Hand-wise, we're kind of all over the place. A couple of pirates, Deadeye Tracker, Wily Goblin. Those are mostly of note, I think, because they can tap and untap our Lightning Rig crew. So we can, like, tap Lightning Rig crew, ping Gideon, play Deadeye Tracker for 1 mana, untaps Lightning Rig crew, ping Gideon, play Wily Goblin, get a treasure, untap our Lightning Rig crew, ping Gideon. So that's a way we can get in a little bit of extra damage if we need to by casting our pirates. We also have Fell Flagship, which pumps our pirates. The other ability, not super relevant here, that we have Fiery Cannonade, probably better known as Pyroclasm, 2 damage to all non-pirate creatures, which actually can kill 3 of our opponent's blockers, putting them down to just a single blocker in the Bishop of Rebirth, except at the moment it also kills our Terror at the Fairgrounds, so we'll have to think about if that's the right direction to go. And then finally, Arcane Adaptation, making everything into a creature type of our choosing, which it's such a unique and weird card to have in our hand. I feel like the puzzle has to involve Arcane Adaptation in one way or another. So, for example, we could just do our little pinging trick with Lightning Rig Crew to deal some extra damage, play Arcane Adaptation on Vampire, so everything drains with Sanctum Seeker, swing with our entire team. The problem with that plan is our opponent can do a lot of blocking. So what if we try this? Let's say we play Arcane Adaptation on Vampire. Then we use our Scarab God to reanimate our Dreamcaller Siren, which is going to tap down our opponent's 2 best blockers, probably the lifelink blockers actually. So tap those down, then we can do some pinging, playing Deadeye Tracker, playing Wily Goblin, put our opponent down to 10, we swing with everything, we drain for 4, putting our opponent to 6, but our opponent still has 2 blockers. They can just block our 2 biggest creatures, putting our opponent down to like 3, and they still have a Gideon, so that doesn't actually get the job done. So I don't think naming Vampire can actually work. As far as Scarab God, the most powerful card in Standard probably, if we reanimate Demon of Dark Schemes, it seems good at first glance. I mean, we kill 3 of our opponent's things, but we also lose our Terror at the Fairgrounds, and we make our Sanctum Seeker a 1-2. We make our Scarab God a 3-3. So even though we get in more damage in a sense, since our opponent loses blockers, we actually cut down on our damage output by making all of our creatures smaller thanks to the -2/-2. So I don't think that Demon of Dark Schemes works. I don't think that Dreamcaller Siren works, but maybe Admiral Beckett Brass, especially, maybe we were looking at this all wrong. We can turn all of our creatures into pirates with Arcane Adaptation, and then we could use Scarab God to get back Admiral Beckett Brass to pump our team. Maybe that is the direction we're looking to go with this. So let's say we play Arcane Adaptation and name Pirate. So all of our creatures everywhere are pirates. Then we can use Fiery Cannonade as a sweeper to get rid of a bunch of blockers. And remember, Terror at the Fairgrounds, now a pirate thanks to Arcane Adaptation, which means it's not going to die. So if we go Arcane Adaptation, then we play Fiery Cannonade, that uses 6 of our 10 mana, leaving 4 mana left over. Our opponent's down to just a single blocker in the Bishop of Rebirth. And then, what if we reanimate our Admiral Beckett Brass to pump our team? All of our creatures will be pirates then, so suddenly, Terror at the Fairgrounds is a 6-3, Scarab God is a 6-6, Sanctum Seeker is a 4-5, and Lightning Rig Crew is a 1-6. So we have a bunch of bigger creatures to attack with. So let's do that. Let's Arcane Adaptation, then we Pyroclasm, aka Fiery Cannonade, to get rid of all of our opponent's blockers except Bishop, get back our Admiral Beckett Brass, swing with everything, attack with our entire team. What does that do for us? Our opponent is going to block our biggest creature with Bishop of Rebirth. So let's say they block the Scarab God. They get drained for 1 by Sanctum Seeker, so they go from 12 down to 11. Then they get hit for 6 from Terror at the Fairgrounds. They get hit for 4 from Sanctum Seeker. That adds up to 10. They get hit for 1 from Fiery Cannonade. That's 11. That puts our opponent to 0. That will work at getting our opponent to 0. The problem is we still have a Gideon on the battlefield. So even though our opponent will drop to 0 life, they're still alive, and they still get to untap. And remember, if they untap, they kill us. Ha ha ha, though, there is a trick here. Remember, Admiral Beckett Brass also has a hidden mode, and that hidden mode is whenever our opponent is dealt damage by at least 3 or more pirates, we get to steal one of their non-land permanents at the end of our turn. So if we go with that line and play Arcane Adaptation, sweep the board with Fiery Cannonade, get back Admiral Beckett Brass, attack with everything, we put our opponent to 0, we also dealt damage with a Terror at the Fairgrounds, with a Sanctum Seeker and a Lightning Rig Crew, which, remember, even though they say Gremlin and Vampire Knight, etc., they're all pirates because of Arcane Adaptation. That means we dealt combat damage with 3 pirates. So we go to our end step, our opponent's at 0 life, Admiral Beckett Brass triggers, and we just yoink the Gideon of the trials. As soon as Gideon comes to our side of the battlefield, thanks to Admiral Beckett Brass, Opponent dies. They're at 0 life. They no longer have the Gideon emblem protecting them because they need a Gideon to turn it on, and we win the game. So I think that that's how we got to do it. It's pretty tricky, and using a really unique and kind of underused card and an underused trigger on that card in Admiral Bracket Brass. So I think that's my answer. Play Arcane Adaptation on Pirate. Play Fiery Cannonade to knock out our opponent's blockers except for Bishop of Rebirth. Use our Scarab God to reanimate the Admiral Bracket Brass. That uses all of our mana. Also pumps all of our creatures, which are all pirates thanks to Arcane Adaptation. Swing with the crew. Drain for 1 with Sanctum Seeker. Hit our opponent for 6 with Terror at the Fairgrounds. 4 with Sanctum Seeker. And 1 with the Lightning Rig crew. That's 11, putting your opponent to 0 when you combine it with the Drain trigger. End step, Admiral Bracket Brass taking the Gideon of the Trials, and that closes out the game. So, did you get the answer? Is that what you came up with? Are there any other answers? Sometimes there's multiple lines that can win the game. Is there another way to do it? Can the Lightning Rig crew ping damage be relevant? What about the treasure from Wily Goblin? Fell Flagship pumping? Could that be part of it as well? Let me know what answer you came up with. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this week's PossibilityStorm.com puzzle, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.